VidCon is the largest conference on online video and building diverse communities. For the past 10 years, VidCon has brought together fans, creators, brands, and industry partners to celebrate all things online video. This was my third year attending, and in this video, I want to share with you my top 10 takeaways for solopreneurs and content creators from VidCon 2019. The first is novelty to loyalty. The first session I went to at VidCon was actually probably my favorite discussion, where they talked about the evolution of building online communities. And they touched on this point, how in the past, when social media started to become mainstream and more people were coming online, the thing that made a viral video was the novelty of a concept, right? There just wasn't that much content online. So someone had to do something novel, something outrageous, something that people hadn't seen before, which there was a lot more things to try because there just wasn't that existing content before. But now there's unlimited amounts of content. There's hours and hundreds of hours of content being uploaded to YouTube every single minute. So with that kind of, saturation of new content being uploaded every single day, how does one stand out? Well, they talked about evolving from novelty to loyalty. It's not so much about having this novel, crazy, different, unique idea. It's more of like that strength of the audience based on how well they connect with that specific content creator about that specific topic. How loyal is that audience? How connected does that community feel? I mean, does that community even feel like a community? Instead of focusing on size, focusing on the strength of an audience. Because of that loyalty between the audience and the creator, that audience is just way more primed to actually take action. Number 2, highlight human problems. I went to a talk by Zach King. I've seen him at various events, including VidCon in the past, and there's always something new to be gained from Zach King. I mean, he's been a prolific content creator for almost a decade now, but the takeaway that I took from his session this time was that someone had asked, how do you come up with new concepts, new ideas for the content that you create? And he said that he focuses on human problems. He focuses on highlighting the problems that humans can all kind of relate to, regardless of your race, where you live in the world, your socioeconomic status, just these everyday human problems that no matter, where you're coming from, you can understand and empathize with that struggle that he's highlighting in the video. Number 3, videos need to be memorable. Facebook hosted a session to talk about how creators are monetizing off of Facebook as content creators. And one of the things that they really emphasized was that video content and really content in general has to not only be memorable, but it has to be enduring and lasting, right? So not only do audience and viewers have to relate and that content has to make an impression on them, but the ideal situation is that it leaves such an impression that they want to share it, right? So that feeling that they get from the video is enduring and it's lasting to the point where they're taking action. Number 4, quality versus quantity of watch time. This was also a takeaway that I got from the Facebook talk, but I found it interesting to hear this from them because I think, again, this is one of those shifts that is a common thing that people are talking a lot about, where it's not so much the quantity, but the quality of watch time, right? The number of minutes that people are spending watching your content. But to hear that from Facebook was very interesting because, I think people think of Facebook as just this huge conglomerate of an entity that, is trying to be something like YouTube in terms of a content creating platform, but is so much more commercial focused. And I would have expected to hear that from YouTube. It was interesting to hear that from Facebook. So Facebook is definitely putting an emphasis on trying to support good content, good quality content, enduring content creators who create content that people actually want to watch. Number 5, watch time versus subscribers. This was a really interesting talk by Matt Pat, who does game theory. Matt Pat and his wife actually talked about analytics, and one of the main takeaways was this idea of getting viewers to watch more of your content versus asking them to subscribe. So I think, of course, naturally, especially like marketers, who isn't going to be like, hey, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, make sure to hit the bell and da-da-da-da. And there's all these call to actions that really kind of just direct people to become subscribers. But what Matt Pat was saying was that because of how YouTube's homepage is programmed and laid out, it really doesn't matter so much as to whether your viewers are actually subscribed to your channel. Because, you know, I can even say this for certain that there are plenty of people who watch my videos that aren't subscribed to my channel simply because they don't know how to subscribe. They just look up my channel every time they go on YouTube, which is totally fine. Or, you know, they're at this point where when they log on to YouTube, they've watched my content where I just show up on their homepage because YouTube knows that they're gonna like my content even though they're not subscribed. And that's really the key there. Number 6, click-through rate. There's this emphasis on your title and your thumbnail, right? If you spend all this time creating the most perfect, beautiful, wonderful video, but no one is actually clicking on your video to watch it, then it really doesn't matter, right? You're not converting, you're not making that sell of, hey, my video is relevant to you, my video is interesting, you're gonna wanna watch this. If you're making that video and no one is watching, then it doesn't matter. Click-through rate is the number of impressions that your video is shown to people, like on the homepage or in suggested or whatever, and whether those people actually click on it to watch it or not. So if you have a low click-through rate, that means that your thumbnails are popping up everywhere but no one's clicking on them. Or if you have a high click-through rate, that means that when your video pops up, people are clicking and actually watching them. There was another talk that was specifically on thumbnails, and the takeaway there was spend as much time on your thumbnails than on creating your video. Number 7, block create. One of my favorite talks was with Jay Shetty. What I really liked about his talk is he talked about how the practical side of creating, and how even though he has like this massive channel and he's really seen a lot of growth just even in the past year, he still has these boundaries and these like procedures to make sure that he can deliver the highest quality of content with the least amount of pressure, which is something that I think a lot of creators, myself included, struggle with. So he talked about this idea of block creating, where when you have to switch your brain from like the logical side, looking at analytics, trying to do data and research and stuff like that, to your creative side, where you're trying to come up with ideas, figure out the look and feel and design of a video, you know, it's really hard to make that shift. So what he does is he actually takes a certain amount of time in the month to create all of his content for that month, and then the rest of it is he's doing meetings, he's doing interviews, he's doing logistics and stuff like that. So he only has like a certain amount of time in the month where he block creates, and then he doesn't have to do it until the following month. Number 8, niches are not topics. I debated whether to go to this talk about mastering your niche just because I felt like it was super self-explanatory. I didn't think that I was gonna get anything out of it. The person who gave that talk was Low Spec Gamer, who's a really big channel on YouTube who talks about a specific kind of gaming where it's like low budget gaming. I don't know, but it's an interesting like niche within a niche of gaming. And that's what he was talking about in this session, was to look at niches not as topics, but as communities. Since we're at a point where there's so much content on YouTube, niches are just critical for success at this point, but that doesn't mean that it's harder to break through. You just have to be more specific because the communities are fragmenting, right? So if we talk about like the beginning of time when it comes to YouTube, there probably was like a few channels on gaming, right? But as more people created content on YouTube, then you have gaming channels that do Let's Play, you have gaming channels that do first-person shooters, you have gaming channels that do RPGs and Minecraft and whatever, right? So the overall niche becomes fragmented, and that's your opportunity to kind of rise and provide that platform where a specific community can get together. Number 9, have a mission. I saw Jack Conte, CEO and founder of Patreon, talk at VidCon last year. Decided to go to his talk again because it was so good last year. It was still super good this year. One of the things that I really took away from his talk this year was to have a mission. And what I really like about Jack is that he is a content creator. He's an artist first and foremost before being a CEO, an entrepreneur, you know, YouTuber, all of that. He started out as an artist, and the struggle of trying to monetize the art, the valuable art that an artist contributes to the world, is an ongoing struggle. And he really emphasized this idea for content creators, digital content creators, to have a mission, because if you lose sight of a mission, or if you don't have a mission, you can get super distracted and discouraged when you put your heart and soul, time, money, and energy into creating a video and then no one watches it, right? So then you feel like, what am I even doing this for? This is stupid, this is pointless. But if you have a mission, if your mission is to spread your love for digital literacy, or to, if you have a cooking channel, you want to showcase recipes and teach people how to cook or whatever, then you're not so much focused on, did I get 5,000 views today? It's more of like, you can use different metrics to gauge whether you are successfully achieving your mission. So it's really, really important that if you're a content creator, you have a mission, it's super clear, and you remind yourself every single day of what your mission is. And lastly, number 10, monetize your audience. It seemed like pretty much every big platform is coming out with these options to monetize that are very similar to a Patreon membership, where the hardcore fans and viewers or subscribers of a channel pay $1, $5, $10, some minimal nominal fee to get exclusive behind the scenes bonus content. Facebook is implementing their own thing. YouTube already has their own thing, which is interesting because now you don't necessarily have to use something like Patreon, but it just goes to show that based on these other takeaways that I've talked about, you really have to have a strong audience, but it doesn't have to be a large audience, because even if you had, a relatively smaller audience, but you're monetizing off of that loyal audience, that could really bring in a lot of money. It just seems that there is an increasing number of monetization options, but it only works if the creator is not focused on growing at some mass scale, but is really focused on cultivating a very strong, loyal community. So those were my top 10 takeaways from VidCon. If you want to check out my other videos from previous VidCons, you can check out this playlist here. Catch you guys later.